Hey everybody, welcome to the live tonight, at least on the East Coast is tonight. Um, just got a group of guys here together to talk about some laser stuff and kind of go over any questions or anything you might have laser related, whether it's galvo, gantry, rotaries, any questions or things that you might have, feel free to bring them up in the chat. But we'll go around the room here and introduce everybody. I'm Jason with JR Custom Designs, Rotoboss Roto Attachments, and Apple Air Laser Filtration. And tonight, obviously, we're hosting this live, and we got some guests with us here, and we'll go ahead and start with whoever wants to speak up first.
I'll jump on in. What's up, guys? My name's Nick, aka the Laser Nerd. Been doing engraving for about a year, actually about a year and a half. So while I might not have as many years of experience as some people out there, I'm a fast study. Super happy to share any knowledge that I have, and kick it on over to Matt.
What's up, everybody? Matt, 2A 3D Laser. Some of you might have my files. File designer, Stanley engraver, meme aficionado. Yeah, man, just Steve's out.
No, I'm here.
Yeah, I'm just burning cups because I'm not doing anything tomorrow. So I'm going to be casually working 60-watt Galvo CO2 with a Rotoboss Talon. So anybody have any questions in that aspect, now would be a good time to ask about them.
Absolutely.
And last but not least,
I'm Steve Mercer. I've been doing lasering about 5 years now. I do a little bit of everything from tumblers to flatbed to wood to acrylic to LED signs to custom hood props, all kinds of other things.
Awesome. Well, everybody, welcome. Wanted to get a group of people together. Several of us. I know Steve. I've known Steve for many years. At this point.
Since I first got my boss.
Just recently met Nick not too long ago. Also Matt, about the same. And I know they both do a lot of Galvo work, which we do here in our shop, but I'm not as fluent with it as they are, so I figured they would be a good fit for this. This is not part of the Turn and Burn podcast. We're just getting in here doing kind of a BS session, just hang out, talk lasers and whatnot. So again, if anybody has any questions or anything, feel free to bring them up. So first, what do you got going on there, Matt? I see you're working on that Stanley's.
Yeah, I only offer 40-ounce Stanleys. I don't do 30s. I don't do 20s. I don't do anything other than 40-ounce Stanleys. As far as my offerings goes, I just ride the trends. That's something I advise a lot of laser people to get into. Is like, it's when I first started, it was a bit foolish of me to be like, oh yeah, I'm not gonna do that because everybody else does it. But like when you're talking about like the popular or trendy products, like ride that wave until it absolutely dies, and then adjust.
Yeah.
Absolutely agree.
Yeah, you got to be flexible.
A lot of money in this stuff right now.
You got to be flexible and able to pivot in this industry because it changes so much so quick.
Dude, if cups went away tomorrow, I'd still be okay. But like until then, like I'm gonna keep making cup money.
Yeah, and it's super important to offer be able to offer a diverse amount of different products that you can do. Like when I first started, I started on a 60-watt CO2 gantry from OhmTech that I bought used. And my first goal was to make sure that I got just about one of every laser to be able to take on any project someone came to me with, because being able to be versatile is incredibly important, especially for like business to business. And even, your people who come to you who have a lot of influence, right? They're going to come to you and be like, hey, I want this project done. Can you do it? If you tell them no, well, they're not going to come back.
Yeah,
correct.
Well, it's one of
It's,
those
I
things
say that-
too,
I
is,
say-
is when
yeah.
they walk in the door. Like for us, I have I think 9 lasers total. I think 4 CO or gantries and 5 fibers or galvos. I don't know. I lost track. But anyways, it's the same thing. Is like when they walk in the door, a lot of people, at least in my experience, don't know what they want, and it's good to be able to have options. Really, no matter what they bring in. So if someone says, "Oh," like I had someone call me, "Hey, can you engrave silverware?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." You know, I got the lasers to do that, because once you turn somebody away in this business, they're probably less likely to come back to you for whatever it may be, because they're going to find someone that can, and then they're going to build a rapport with them.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Um,
correct. I stress that on like every live I do. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. My wife is actually helping me with the business now, and she's doing a lot of like messaging and trying to do like posts and stuff like that. And one thing that I always tell her, I was like, you got to be fast on your responses, because those people are looking for whatever product they're looking for right now. They are searching for it actively. And if you don't respond to them right away, they're
Next
gonna keep
guy will.
looking, and they're going to find exactly.
Yep.
They're going to find that next guy who's going to do it. And so, boom, we just lost a sale.
Yep.
But yeah, also being able to identify trends or potential fads in the future, super important to this business.
Well, just like the Stanleys, for instance. I mean, like we were talking back before the thing a little bit, and like I've never done full wraps. I've done or full seamless wraps. I think I've done one, and that was for a sampler for Michael Jordan's golf club down in South Florida. And I did a tribal band around a Yeti, and I actually did a video on it, on how we did it and lined it up and everything. But as far as like doing a full wrap on a cup, I've yet to do that. And I know it sounds weird that I make rotaries, but I don't do full wraps. But I mean, I just don't have the
Yeah.
time to do that. That's not my business either. I mean, my business is rotaries with a secondary. Well, my primary business is JER Custom Designs, and we do everything from 3D printing and prototyping, sublimation, UV printing, embroidery, vinyl graphics, all that stuff. But that's all secondary to the rotary. And to try to get into the game of Stanley's, I mean, I just can't do that, and I'm not willing to let Etsy and Amazon and all them take 30 to 40% of my money just to use their platform. It's just not worth it to
Yeah,
me.
they get you sometimes. They get you
Yeah.
sometimes
Yeah.
pretty good.
Now, if someone
like-
walked in the door, I would absolutely take it on and do it. Like I would have no problem doing it. That's not the issue. It's just not in my business model, so I don't mess with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll. The fees on Etsy are a little ridiculous, you know.
And Etsy itself is getting more and more ridiculous every day, it seems like.
Shut you
But,
down for no reason.
Oh, yeah. And then
Well, they give you a reason,
Well,
dude.
yeah, they give you
Shut
reasons,
down on
but
Etsy for no reason.
I've seen-
Just 'cause they're-
I've seen actually a
Yeah.
lot of people posting about their shops getting shut down, and they have no reason. They
Yeah.
get
Where's
nothing.
where's the cup, dude? I know I
yeah,
still
pull your
have it.
Taylor Swift out.
No, it's
Yeah, don't do
it's
that.
no, dude. So I got this listing. This listing was pulled off of Etsy, right here.
What is it?
Because it's like I don't know. I call it like a mosaic tile pattern.
Yeah.
That got pulled down?
Yeah, they said I was appropriating Native American culture by using
Oh.
the term mosaic.
What?
That's like what it said, dude. Like I
You
couldn't
gotta
believe
be
it.
kidding me.
Yeah, well, I was like, I'm not like a history major or anything like that, but I'm like pretty sure like Native Americans didn't invent mosaics.
Not only
I
that,
think that's like French, that's like French Italian stuff.
That's ridiculous.
Etsy's owner even said, the CEO, came out and was like, yeah, if our, new AI bot finds the same image of your stuff on Temu, we're going to assume that you're mass producing, and then we're just going to
Yep.
take your stuff down. And I'm
Yep.
like,
Even though Temu steals from other people.
you're talking about the world's leader in theft, in IP theft, Temu. Yeah,
Right.
okay.
I bought this on Temu. This is my design.
Yeah,
I bought this on Temu. This is my design, dude. They ripped it off. And it's a better product, dude. I'll give them credit for that. It's a better product than mine. This
Well,
is
you don't
my,
say
I
that.
was like, I'm going to stop making. Dude, there's a silicone. Mine was 3D printed. I was like, yo, if I want to sell these, I'm just going to buy them on Temu because there's no minimum order quantity and they're cheaper. I was like, I'm just going to buy them from them and sell them if I want to, but they ripped this off. This is my design. All the radiuses and everything, it's exactly the same.
Hmm.
So, yeah, Temu. I like Temu, though. I'm not going to lie. I like Temu.
A lot quicker getting the tumblers from Temu than they are from other people.
So we got
Depends. It depends.
Doodly Hill Designs. I think I said that right.
Doodle
This is
Hill. Doodle Hill's sick.
Doodle Hill.
She's awesome.
Said
Doodle
that-
Hill.
that they-
what up?
That they got theirs shut down too.
I wonder what'd you get shut down for? They get you for a Taylor Swift? I know they just went through and did a huge sweep for Taylor Swift.
and here's the thing too, because I have gone down the rabbit hole, and so Etsy does not do anything themselves when it comes to anything copyright or anything like that. They actually put it on the owner of the IP to make a claim that it is infringement, because if the moment that they take down one copyright themselves, then now they're responsible and liable for everyone on Etsy. And I don't know if you've looked at Etsy, but good Lord, I would say 90% of the listings on there are all copyright. Like, it's insane. You type in Disney, it pulls up 4 billion listings.
Yeah.
You,
Well,
you
that's the
can go
thing
on
is,
there
like-
now and find Daryl's sign stuff that he designed. People are reselling it.
Oh yeah, that's why I don't sell files to anything. They're like, "Oh, it'll just be me." I'm like, "Nope." Like
Yeah,
even
good
with
luck.
the
Yeah.
even with STL for like our older rotaries that were printed, or some of the parts were printed. People are like, "Hey, can you send me STL?" It's like, "Nope." Like I'll send you a replacement. I mean, because it's warranted anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But I'll send them replacements.
Yeah.
What's the lens company? Something Robotics, right? What's the lens company? What are the
You mean American Photonics?
Yeah. So I was just at
Robotics.
I was just at a friend's house this afternoon, like helping her install her like red dot pointer because it got messed up on her OMTech, and she ordered a kit from them, and it was all 3D printed parts. I'm like, dude, this just looks horrible.
Wow.
The print, I don't knock anything 3D printed. There's a lot of like good parts made, like Prusa's, dude. Look at Prusa's. They're all
Yeah.
3D printed parts, dude. But like, they were such haggard looking prints. I was like, yo, we're not using any of these, dude.
Yeah, she says it's Taylor Swift stuff, and she says it was. I'm assuming what she's saying is she had it on there for a while. Like, and I think Nick, didn't you just get hit for that? Something you had on there a long time ago,
the thing
or something?
is, they didn't tell me. They didn't tell me what specifically I got taken down for. They just said IP, and I was like, okay, well, is what it is.
So
And
they
now,
didn't
in
say-
order, if no, they didn't give me a specific
Hmm.
reason. I asked multiple times, like, can you tell me the listing? Can you tell me which one? Like, because it could have been a multitude of things. If you're selling Stanley tumblers, Stanley can actually go on there and file a claim against you because their logo is in your photos.
Correct.
Yeah.
What?
And-
Wait, what?
Yeah, they
No.
can do that.
Yeah.
Yep. Because
So if
to
you
them,
use their
you're
cut,
reselling their product.
but
And
Yeah.
I'm like,
you bought it at wholesale. You
no,
modified
no,
it.
No, you probably paid
Or you bought it
retail
at
for it.
retail.
I
Sorry.
paid
You bought it
retail.
at- You bought it at retail, so you already paid the initial cost on it,
Mhm.
and then you just modify it and resell it. How I don't understand how they can do
Yeah.
that, but
And honestly,
Yeah.
like, if we're going to be argumentative, I'm not selling the Stanley Cup. I'm not out here reselling Stanleys. People have asked me, "Hey, can I just buy that cup?" And I'm like, "No, because I don't sell Stanleys. I sell engraving services."
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
well,
so-
and not for nothing, dude. Like, and it's, I've been self-employed for the majority of my life, and it's just this business practice that for some reason everybody in the engraving industry like conforms to, but like nobody marks up the Stanley. Like, we all buy like 10 grand worth of Stanleys, and then like I charge the customer for the cup itself what I paid for it, and I make money on the engraving end. It's the worst business practice ever. There's no 10% markup, no 15% markup, nothing. It's, I paid $50 for this cup, so you're gonna pay $50 for this cup plus the engraving service. It's the dumbest stuff,
Yeah.
Well, we're not selling these cups at a markup,
yeah.
I guess technically you are, but like,
But you're not selling the cup alone. You're selling your service
Yeah.
to engrave it. You know,
Yeah.
hey, I mean,
and
if
as you
somebody
should.
wants to, if somebody wants to buy a blank cup for me, dude, for like a markup, dude, I'll sell it to them, dude. I'm happy to do it.
My whole thing is like, people have come to me and said, "Oh, well, this is too expensive." And I'm like, "Okay, well, by all means, you spend the money on the laser and countless hours of testing and learning and trying to get it right when there's no support out there whatsoever for you. And then you go on ahead and tell me how much your time is worth."
It's free
Yeah.
if you do it yourself. That's what I always tell people.
Yeah.
Nothing's free.
The bad thing is I sat on probably 20 pre-lasered dupe tumblers for 2 years, maybe selling one here and there. And finally at the last show, I sold them all. And everybody's like, "Well, I can get a Stanley for 65. Yeah, but that's not lasered, and it's just a Stanley. I have exactly the when it comes down the machinery line, it splits off. One goes to Stanley, one goes to dupe. They're exactly the same.
Mhm.
And
To a
they
degree,
just like
there's definitely differences, but they definitely are all stamped in the same place. There's not a single. There's no way to deny that.
the only thing they do is they put the handle a little bit higher or lower than what a dupe is.
Yep.
Yeah, well, all the cups get stamped in the same place, but like as far as like handle installation, like you'll notice on actual Stanleys, like their toppers are a little bit tighter as far as tolerances and stuff like that. Like they're just a little bit like it's like like there's like a place that stamps them, and then when they disperse, that's when you get Stanley and dupe. But they're essentially the same thing.
Yeah.
But they would say it's that $50. Oh, that's too much. I'm like, how's that too much? A Stanley starts at 65.
Yeah, well, they start at 48, but I hear you.
Yeah. I paid 65 for that turd tumbler.
Yeah.
But
The brown and gold one.
Yeah.
and the thing
welcome,
too,
Welcome to your LA meeting, Jim.
Oh, I like that, dude.
What's that?
An LA meeting, dude. One seamless
Lasers
tumbler.
Lasers Anonymous.
yeah, like, and the thing too, you think lasers, you think rotaries, and you immediately jump to tumblers, but
Yeah.
there's so many other things that people don't take advantage of, right? Like, it's not just tumblers or even glass. It's not just things that hold liquid.
Yeah.
Any cylinder. Like
I do 3-inch acrylic tubes a lot. I got a customer that owns a car accessory business for Mopars, and the Challengers have the intake tubes in the headlights now, and he will replace tubes and light them up. So I laser all his tubes for him.
That's awesome. And
Nice.
like I had a guy come over the other day because he had bought a fiber laser and he had just a D80, but he was like, I'm engraving barrels, like pistol barrels, and I'm like, that's super smart. That's super smart.
Yeah.
And he's putting like these insane designs, and then Cerakoting and color filling and all this stuff, and I'm like, there's so many things that you can do, and like I learn stuff every day that lasers can do that I didn't even think about. A lot of people use them to, you spray paint some canvas, you throw it in your laser, and now you can recreate a work of art.
Yep.
And that's genius.
Can either of you guys talk to this
Yep.
question?
Uh,
Any tips
yeah.
on tumblers that come with black mirror underlay?
Yeah,
On
well,
a-
so I mean, first question would kind of be like, are you having issues? Because that at least gives you a starting point. If not, I mean, they laser essentially the same as every other tumbler.
Just don't use the fiber
No.
laser.
Now, Sarah, are you using a Galvo? Are you using a gantry, fiber, UV, CO2? What are you using to do them, or are you just inquiring because you want to do them?
Good question. Good question.
But yeah, so I mean, and I wanted to ask a question while we're waiting for her to maybe respond on Matt, and even Nick, because Nick showed me he did an engraving when I went out there and met up with them in Arizona about 2 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago, something like that. How do you level one of those compared to maybe a gantry? Is it the same?
Yeah, the principle's exactly the same. Focal
Okay.
point, focal point's the same. She uses
So I
a
know-
diode. That's rough, dude.
Oh,
Oh no,
oh.
Yeah.
Sorry,
That-
Sarah.
Nice.
That-
Nice.
the diode's gonna do about the same thing as a fiber will, essentially. Not quite as bad, but that's kind of the effect you'll get.
It'll still burn the undercoating.
It's definitely got the potential for sure. So you'd have to be really, really careful. What I'd recommend is start. I'm hoping that you use Lightburn. Start with a material test and just walk it up in power in increments and speed in increments, maybe 10%. But I would honestly break it down even further. Try doing 5%, and just see where you're starting to get good results. At the end of the day, like if you're doing especially a full wrap on something like a Stanley style tumbler, we're talking hours to get that done.
Yeah.
And don't get me
So
wrong, diodes have come a long way, and there's actually some diode lasers out there that are really impressive. I just saw a 70 watt the other day that can do all kinds of cool stuff, but you're gonna be limited on certain things. It's just not typically for professional use. It's more designed for the hobbyist.
So she could be a hobbyist, Sarah.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
totally fine. I just wanted to let you know
What,
what
well,
you
Well,
might be in for.
she's saying the issue she's having is the top will burn, the bottom is good, and that's that kind of leads back into what I just asked them about leveling the cup. Typically,
that's what I was just gonna
that's
kinda
what's
depends
going to
if-
cause
if-
it.
Like on a 20 ounce, like if you're having that issue, it's a little bit different than like whether you're having the issue on the 40 ounce. I'm going to assume, just for the sake of conversation, she's trying to do 40 ounces just because that's what's popular right now. So Sarah, just because like when you focus, and obviously like this is a little different, you want your bottom of your cup and the top of your cup to be the same distance. The same, like your focal height should be the same distance here and here. I tell everybody to disregard the middle. On CO2s, it's a little different. Like on my 60 watt ohm techs, when I was running cups on those, I would put my focal point at the top and the bottom, but with the tolerance of the lens, because all lenses have a tolerance, the middle would char because it wasn't removing the coating all the way, because there was like a 5 millimeter difference between the top and the middle and the bottom and the middle. So this was 5 millimeters higher. So what I would do is I would bump the focus up 2 or 3 millimeters, which would keep the top and the bottom in tolerance, but then move the middle into tolerance as well. So you're playing with the tolerances of all these different focal heights. You find almost a cool medium, if you will.
Yeah, it there's definitely like a balancing act, and every laser I've noticed plays a little bit differently. But I'd also be curious what your like LPI was, because it's interesting to me, depending on how you have it leveled. that you might have the top burn, but the bottom be, good. Because usually, that bottom, you're hitting that laser, it's overlapping a lot more over itself. So I'm just curious to see how it looks. Feel
I
free to hit
know.
us up in the Tumblr Engraving for Dummies group, and we'll be happy to sort it out for you.
Yeah, I know the fiber, or the, like what Matt's using, looks like the CO2. They're a lot more forgiving. Plus, he's using a larger lens, or a larger focal lens, so he can kind of offset that any difference that might be there. But a diode works much like a gantry CO2. So when you're leveling it, you want to make sure both ends are level, not the plane of the cup. So you want to level
Correct.
both ends the same. And then on a CO2 gantry, which, like I said, a diode is pretty similar in that regard, you then want to offset your focus equally. So, like, if just use 10 millimeters. So, say both ends you focus at 10 millimeters, and then the center is at 5. So, what you want to do is basically bring both of those out of focus equally. So you'll actually raise or lower the bed, or lower the object like 2.5 millimeters, basically splitting the difference. So that way both ends and the middle are equally out of focus. So the center is going to be out of focus too close, and then the outer is going to be out of focus too far away. And ideally, that's going to give you an even engraving, or a more uniform engraving across the whole cup itself. LPI 125. Wow, that's low.
Yeah,
So I use
that's-
LPI of 125. I don't know the millimeters off the top of my head. Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah,
dude.
that's like
that's way high.
1.1. That's like a line interval of like 1.5 probably.
Yeah, I was gonna say 2. I can't remember.
Or around.
That, but
Yeah, I don't know either, but
I know.
LPI should be at least 300 or better for anything
Correct.
you do. So
I usually run mine at like 0.07.
Yeah, depending on my
0.07,
laser.
well,
Depending on my laser, I'll run from
LPI.
I'll run 0.02 to a 0.08, depending on what I'm doing and which machine I'm using.
Yeah.
So you just got to find that sweet spot. But LPI of 125 is extremely low.
Yeah, I just pulled up Lightburn so that way I could do that math, because I don't know it. So in millimeters, it would be 0.2, which is pretty
Yeah,
high.
that's huge.
I would.
Good lord. Point
so-
1. I'd use 0.1 on like wood, like a big wood project or something.
Yeah,
But-
I'm using 0.07 millimeters
Yeah.
here. Which
Yeah.
is like what?
Like
500?
0.07 is like the
Well, that's-
highest I would go to.
Well, that's you're using what, a 300 millimeter lens.
Yeah, you have to for the Stanleys,
So-
dude. If you use you can use like a 250, but you lose focus.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying too. Is with the 300, you have to up your LPI, or you're going to be overlapping like crazy.
Yeah.
The dot is just so big, but
The dot
with
is chunky, dude.
with that
Not-
diode,
not your
and
not
I
your-
think you said you're
You're
I think you said you're using a 40
Line
watt diode. I would
Yeah.
argue that your line, your dot, but when I say the dot, it's actually the size of the dot that your laser is using. But I would argue that it's probably really small. So I would say, 0.05, 0.04 is probably about the time that you want to start experimenting with those kind of figures. I understand the desire to go up to these much higher LPIs, because it goes a lot faster, right? But
Yep.
unfortunately, you start losing that clarity. You start losing the ability to get through that powder coat.
Yep.
So
Yeah, there's always going to be a trade-off. Always,
Mhm.
no matter what settings or what configuration you're going with, there's always going to be a trade-off, like speed and power.
Yep.
LPI,
Well, I mean, even-
LPI and focus. There's a trade-off from one to the other. So you just got to find what works for you.
On these, like, people, like, I just had somebody who, like, I've done like a lesson with. reach out and was like, "Hey man, I'm having trouble with this logo. I can't get it clean." And I was like, "Send it to me." And he sent it to me, and like my result was much different than his, but I was like, there was so much like tiny text. I'm like, this is going to be one of those things where you have to be, because he's got gantry lasers too, and I'm like, you have to understand, like, nobody's buying the Galvos, like nobody raves about them for their quality, right? Everyone's just like, yo, they're so fast, right? I have yet to have like an issue to where there was something where I'm like, oh, the quality's just not there for me. But like a gantry laser, like compared to like a Galvo with a 300 lens on it, you can get tighter lines and more detail on a gantry laser. Like when I crosshatch on the gantries, the lines are like paper thin. When you do it on here, they're super chunky.
Yeah. Well, that has a lot to do with the lens too. Like I said.
Yeah.
And
if you're trying to do a full Stanley and you want to crosshatch and stuff, like you're limited to a 300. You're not using a 250 or anything else.
You can't do a Stanley with a 200, 250, anything like that. It's not big enough.
So
because those, I think Stanleys are what, they're 12 inches.
Yeah, they're
like 12 or 13,
40-ish millimeters tall, like the laserable area. So technically, you could get them
that's
in.
12 and a half.
Once you get to like the edges, dude, it doesn't completely remove the powder coat and everything. So use a 300 to keep it in that window.
Yeah, because the 300 is going to give you 4, 8, 12 inches of engravable area. And I think Stanleys are like right at 12 or just shy of 12. I think they're 13 and a half with a cover on them.
This is 9.5. Right. This is 9.5 of engravable area, basically.
Oh, it's only 9.5. Wow.
Okay. I'd also, the thing is too, like we love to say like, oh well, you have to sacrifice the quality, and if you play with those settings right, I guarantee that you don't, because the other day someone came to me and was like, hey, I'm thinking about buying this laser with this lens, would you be able to show me like the quality of it? And they sent me this file, and it was just chock full of really tiny lines and like really, really tight detail. And so instead of, swapping lenses and doing all this craziness, I actually instead, turned up my frequency, dialed back my power and slowed it down just a little bit. And, let's see, can I share my screen on this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, did you do that for free? Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I did, because I had a dupe that was already had some issues, and I was like, I'm happy to help you. And that's the thing, like, if it isn't going to cost me money, right? If I'm not doing anything and I can help someone learn and grow and potentially take that next step forward in their business, I am so happy to do it. That's never been a problem. Let me see. Present.
I like to help people, and that's kind of what I started out doing. Steve probably remembers that. I used to do informative videos and things like that back in the day. Yep. But I've got a face for radio, so that didn't work out for me. But no, I got busy with rotaries and kind of had to go where the flow took me. But I still enjoy helping people, and I think a lot of people in the laser community still do. I mean, there are some out there that try to get all cutthroat and do whatever to whomever. But for the most part, I think everybody is still pretty
helpful,
open, and helpful. But now a lot of people are trying to get money for service, which I understand. I mean, at some point, free can only go so far.
Yeah, I mean, you can't play your bills with thank yous.
No. And
yeah, exactly.
Like I've said it before, I'm like against necessarily like the mentality of certain affiliation of affiliates, right? Because it encourages like you to push the project or product onto people that might be out of their price range. It might not be what's best for them, but we got to make sales, right? It's all about that money. And so for me and for a lot of people, I know it's really important that, hey, like I'm not going to do any kind of affiliate or affiliation with you until we, talk about the product. I'm happy with the product because I'm not gonna shove that down someone's throat if I don't think it's right for them. But like if you look here, you can see like all of these fine lines. If I had ran it on my normal settings, I absolutely would have blown those out. They would not be there at all because I mean some of these are less
Yeah, look at
than
that.
a
That looks
tenth
good,
of a
dude.
millimeter thick. And I always tell people, knowledge is everything, and understanding how to manipulate your laser is going to completely change the ability of what you can do. If you or just go by what someone else tells you to do, then you're never going to grow with that machine. You're never going to understand its full capabilities. But if you sit there, if you experiment, if you play with it, if you dedicate the time, you'll absolutely be able to do everything that you need it to do. So, there's a lot of stuff that you can do with these machines. And I would always raise the point like, hey, when you know what you're doing, you'll never have a problem. But
Yeah. what he said. Yeah.
right. Sorry, I get super into the technical stuff about these things, and hey, that's why I chose the laser nerd, because that's I'm a total nerd for this stuff.
Nerd.
I ain't got no problem with that. Nerds make money.
Yeah.
That's cool. Well, we were just having a conversation, dude, about something. I'm like, dude, you're a fucking nerd. And then we were talking about it, and then like we changed the subject to something else that I was passionate about, and I'm like, oh, maybe I'm a nerd too.
Absolutely.
That's the first step, admitting your problem.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
whatever,
If
man.
anyone thinks that their job of lasering, like playing with lasers all day, you're an absolute nerd. You're a total nerd. Don't deny it. You don't
Yeah,
realize
I'm like
it.
a cool nerd. I'm like a cool nerd.
Whatever you tell yourself to get to sleep
I
at
set
night.
things on fire.
I've done that.
Yeah, are you
Yeah,
even an engraver if you've like not almost been to the hospital, dude? Like, I've almost blinded myself twice now.
I'll tell you
One thing
what.
I have not done, I've never burned myself. That's one thing I have not done.
I'd love to say that I haven't, but I for sure have.
Haven't
Yeah, I
what, burnt
definitely have
yourself?
burned myself.
Yeah, with
a
the
little
laser
bit.
beam.
Not too bad. Luckily, the beam wasn't in focus. If I had put it in focus, if I had put my hand where it was in focus, oh man, I would. I'd probably have a nice tattoo on my hand. But with those Galvo lasers, if you put it between that focal point, you'll feel it. It kind of feels like a sunburn or being like out in the sun and direct sunlight. But
These are
that's looking clean.
These are so money, dude. I can't find out. I know the lens is right here, dude, but look at that color,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah, those looks great.
Okay.
But yeah. And I'll tell you what, 7 lasers in my garage and not a fire extinguisher in sight. I should probably change that.
Dude, I just bought one, dude. I just bought one.
That's the first thing I bought before I even got my laser was a fire extinguisher.
Well, I mean, are you just like a pyro? Or like, did you
No,
just need it to exist?
I got a shop. I got a 12 by 24 shop that the laser sits in, and I don't want to lose the house, so I keep it. It's right next to the laser. I've never had to use it. I have burned some things.
I also don't think leaving your machines unattended is ever a good idea, dude.
No.
No.
Honestly, I have done that. I have been burning
I
at
think we've
4
all
o'clock in
done
the
it,
morning.
dude, but you definitely know you're playing with fire, dude. Like, I mean, if you're gonna like laser something, you're in the middle of production stuff, and you gotta go take a leak, dude. That's one thing, but that 2 seconds while you're taking a leak can.
That's what happened to Mayhem Laser. He went in to
Yeah.
get a piece of chicken, looked out his window, and his shop was on fire.
What? Most expensive
Yeah.
piece of chicken he ever ate, dude.
Speaking of, there's a guy out here in Phoenix who wants to sell. They have like an OhmTech 80 watt, but like one of the bigger beds, and he's trying to sell this laser for like $3,000, and the whole thing was on fire. Like the entire lid is melted, the entire wiring harness is gone, the tube is cracked. Like, and I'm like, what? I would.
Are you sure
spend-
that sounds like the guy that's just up the street from me? He bought an OhmTech, burnt it down right before Christmas.
Like, you're selling this machine, you're basically selling me a frame. Like, no.
Yeah, well,
That's
the go-to on lasers, man, like especially used ones when you buy them, is what does the honeycomb look like, right? Because if you couldn't take out the honeycomb and just wash it off before you listed it for sale, what else didn't you do?
Yeah.
You know, you couldn't even do that. That's like the most basic maintenance.
Reminds me of like on Zillow when you see a house listed and there's no there's no one took the time to clean anything. It's like, I don't trust the way that you've treated this at all.
That's the house we bought.
Oh, there you go. I'm
Had
hoping you
holes
got
in
a
the
discount.
wall. They had
There you go.
they walled in the dining room area and made it a dog kennel area. So there were scratches 6 inches above the floor all the way around. And when we were looking, I just told my wife, like, I don't want this house. I really don't. And we end up buying it.
I mean, the thing is, like, if it's a deal, like if the guy was selling it for $200, that'd be in my garage right now.
we got a good deal. So that's
Yeah.
one thing. I got a customer wanting to reach out to me. He's wanting to partner with me to do guitars.
Oh,
That's cool,
He
dude.
builds-
That's cool.
He builds custom guitars and he wants me to laser them
Oh,
That's cool, dude.
and cut the little plastic piece that goes over for the pick guard and stuff.
uh-huh.
He says he'll buy everything and just ship it to me and tell me what he wants on it, and I'll go from there with it.
Bro, that's legit. That would be a fun project. You could do a lot with
Yeah, I'm
production
excited.
work like that.
And he said he would even build me a left-handed guitar.
That actually, it brings up a good topic to talk about for people. What do you guys think is the best way to pick up contract work, right? Like anyone can go on Etsy, anyone can go make a website and sell stuff and do these onesie twosies, but we all know that the money is in production work, business to business sales, contract business sales, stuff like that is what's going to keep your business thriving, keep your business going. And it's hard because a lot of it is who you know. But if you could give advice to anyone about getting your first contract, what would you say?
Go knock on doors, introduce yourself, take a product with you that you could show them. If anything, take a product you can give them, like a tumbler with their logo or something on it. I've got 3 detailing companies that buy tumblers from me 2 cases at a time. So, and that just came off of one guy. The one guy bought cases from me, and then he went to a conference for detail equipment and stuff, and he had this tumbler, and he's like, "Hey, who did that for you?" And I get a phone call that day, say, "Hey, so and so said to call you." And I'm like, "All right, what do you need?"
I wouldn't say 2 cases is contract work.
Well, they order every couple months, so it's a regular thing.
Hey, and that's the thing, right? It does. You don't have to be.
But
we all knew that,
dude. I can't find the fucking labels for this fucking cup right here, dude. Do these not like, you know what I mean? I'm fucking like.
Does StreamYard have like a sensor for him?
Oh,
Is there a service that we can pay?
Just, you need somebody in this shop with him to mute him as he's cussing.
Good luck, dude. Good luck.
I couldn't hit that button fast enough. We're gonna need your like fancy clicker button. No, you're right, like business to business, right? If you're talking contract work, 2 cases every couple months is not what I would call ideal
It's
contract
not
work.
a regular
But
thing, but it's nice to have it.
returning
Correct,
business
correct.
is always good business. It's also about, getting the word out there, getting your name out there, having someone who is able to back you and say, yeah, he's super reliable or she's super reliable. You guys did great work for me. Here's what I did. And,
Yeah.
and it all starts somewhere. 2 cases turns into 5 cases. 5 cases turns into 100 cases, right?
Well, and that's kind of that's kind of what I was gonna say is like, I mean, like kind of commenting on the like it's who you know, dude. Like doing good business and having integrity, dude, no matter what the cost, is more valuable than any like walk-in or anything like that, dude. Like there's going to be people who will spend more with you just because they know you're reliable, dude, and like you're always going to do good business. They know that the price that, even if the price isn't the cheapest, they know that it's fair, which is where like the majority of my contract work comes from, is like just like people who like want to give me the business. Like I have other engravers have me do stuff for them. Yeah, I don't even know why. I don't understand that, but having like integrity and doing good business, dude, is invaluable in this industry.
Well, I have
speaking
people send me business because I've got large lasers and I've got lasers that do stuff that theirs can't. And like I said earlier, to circle back to that is, now they come to me. Like they don't even go to them anymore. So I mean, which whatever, and I'm sure at times I've done that too. Like especially when I didn't have the capabilities or whatever. But like I'm the only one that has a machine large enough to do pretty much anything. And then I've got lasers that can do plastic, metal, wood, acrylic, leather. I got something that can do everything. So now, and I get word of mouth all the time. We don't do any marketing. I actually started doing marketing for the main company for local business. But I mean, I built my business off of word of mouth and self promotion, I guess, which really hasn't done it. I just worked with Google, or I finagled Google to because now it's all about algorithms and stuff, right? So
yeah.
But back when I started up mine, like my description, instead of just putting my business name, because JR Custom Designs, who the hell is going to know what that is?
Yeah, doesn't tell exactly what you do.
Yeah.
So, and I wasn't getting anywhere. So then I'm like, let me play around with some things. So the first thing I did, and it worked, is I put JR Custom Designs, comma, laser engraving, comma, vinyl graphics, comma, all in the title. Because what Google's looking for is title searches first. That's the first thing they're gonna pull up as a title search. So if your title doesn't describe what you do, then those people aren't going to see it. So now in my local area, when they type in laser engraving, vinyl graphics, printing, whatever, I'm one of the top ones that come up under, of course, the sponsored ads. But so I found that works really well, is putting what you do in your physical title. I mean, it looks like complete garbage because it's just a big long string of everything. But like I said, Google, the very first thing Google does is a title search. So they're looking for the title of your business or your what you do. And then typically that's where they're going to stop. Like if they don't find you in there, it's going to go past you. It's not going to look into any keywords or anything like that. And that's where you have to start paying for ads and all that garbage. But You can kind of finagle your way around that by adding what you do to the title.
Mhm. Do a lot of SEO research for sure on how to make your business work with whatever algorithms of whatever platform you're working for. One thing I always tell people too is presentation is everything. So if you go to or if someone visits your website, right, and you're sitting out there and you have a cup sitting on a dirty table and you took the picture with a phone from 10 years ago and you posted that as your product photo, like, yeah, people aren't going to think that you're as professional as maybe someone else. I've invested into a lot of things, because what people don't talk about when you're a small business owner is this small business owner is this really funny general term, because you are a web developer, a graphic designer, a photographer, inventory management, you're a salesman, you're customer service, you're everything by yourself. You're a whole company.
Everything.
Oh, everything. There's no one else to help you out. It's all on you. So you have to not just be able to do those things, but excel in those things. And photography is key to making your product look good. And if you can't do it, hire someone. It is worth the money to make your website and your products look phenomenal. So when someone comes in there, they know that they're going to buy a product from a professional, even if you aren't better than the other guy, right? Like, it doesn't matter what they're doing. It only matters what you're doing. Also,
That's also. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, also, never, beg for work, right? Don't sit there and
See you,
drop
Nikki.
your prices to make no money on a product. Like, if someone wants, there will always be someone that's cheaper than you. There will always be someone that's willing to undercut you. And if someone is willing to go to that company, by all means, let them go, because they are not the quality of customer that you want. Chances are they might give you even problems, and they'll probably fight you tooth and nail on every price. Find people who are willing to pay for your time.
I've brought that up so many times in my podcast. Like, don't race to the bottom. And I talked to a guy today, I believe it was, and he was like, how much would you charge to do cups in bulk? He's like, he gave me an example. He had 100 cups, same logo on all the cups, whatever, different sizes, cups, whatever. And I gave him my breakdown, which is basically whatever your cost is to do it, you double that, and then see where it's at. And then if it's too high, you got to kind of judge, is it good to go down? Do I just stick to my guns? But on a discount, I told him anywhere from 10 to 15% or whatever off of that final price. But he wasn't, because he was like, oh man, I would have charged like $12 or $15 a cup. And I'm like, well, you got to take into account your time. You got to pay yourself, the space that you're working in, the equipment you're running, the time that you spent to design it, lay it out, and set it up.
Electric bill.
You got to factor in all that, because I'm guilty of it. When I first started doing this almost 10 years ago, I didn't pay myself for almost 4 years. Actually almost 5 years. I didn't pay myself a dime. And my prices kind of reflected that, because I had them a little bit lower than what they probably should have been. So, I mean, I was guilty of it as well, and many people are initially, but then you got to understand that breaking even just at cost to do it is not good enough. You cannot sustain a business by paying $1 and getting $1. You can't grow your business that way. And a lot of people end up doing that, and he didn't kind of he was like, oh man, I didn't think about that, or whatever the comment was, but it was something to that effect. Is like, oh, okay. So I mean, you got to take that into consideration, that it's not just, okay, I bought a $4 cup, it takes me 4 minutes to do it, so that's about $8, let's say 10, and then I charge $12 or $15. So you're only essentially making nothing because you still haven't factored in your cleaning supplies,
Yep.
your
Yeah, these
time,
Just these
Yeah.
things.
Packaging
electric, yeah,
material.
Packaging
Yeah,
material.
not-
Yeah.
Oh, there's so many
I-
things.
and that's
I spent
why
over
that's why
$1,500 on stickers last year, dude. Like,
I spent
Jason, how
14,000.
much do you spend on stickers, dude? Yeah, I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I don't
get
pay anything
one
for
box
stickers now,
from
but I had to buy the
Jason, and I'm
machine
like,
to do it.
I get one box from Jason, and I'm like, holy crap! There's so many stickers for like 4 different companies in here. Where am I supposed to put all these?
yeah,
We make all our own stuff, like our shirts, the bags, the stickers. I mean, we make all
And-
that
yeah,
stuff
which is
because,
smart. That's smart.
because
That's
one-
also something. Oh, go
but
ahead.
one,
sorry.
it's I can change it up because I don't know. I've gotten caught in this too. You know, buy from Vistaprint or whatever, and you buy 5,000 stickers, and then halfway through that, you're like, man, I'm really tired of this design. I don't want it no more. Now you're stuck with 2,000 plus or whatever, how many ever stickers that you just got to give away. That, I mean, of course, the stickers aren't making any money. It's just something.
Yeah, but
good
people
to give
like
people,
different
but-
ones. Return customers like different ones.
But like we change our shirts up all the time, different designs, different logos. So I mean, it makes it good for that, and plus, it's another way to upsell or satisfy the customer that walks through the door. Because I can say, oh yeah, not only do I do lasers, they walk in the door, they see all our print equipment right there when they first walk in. They're like, oh my god, how much? What all else do you do? You know, so it's just another tool for that was bought originally just to do stuff for ourselves because I got tired of paying for stickers and whatnot. And then you have to pay design fees and all. You guys all know that, whoever's done it before. But
Oh yeah.
but yeah, I mean it's just another tool. I mean,
I just
my-
used I just used AI to design my holiday stickers. So my dude, yo, they're sick. My
Bro,
holiday
the Jack
stickers are
Skellington duck.
fire. Yeah, they're so fire. I changed the Grinch one to a different version, but yo, they're absolutely sick, dude.
You gotta send me a
Redesign,
few.
dude. You know?
Yeah,
You just
So-
buy a cup, dude. You just buy a cup. I'll send you one. You know? they
why
come
would I
for
buy
free with
your
the
cup? What?
I don't
What
know,
were you-
man.
what-
Just,
what-
you know?
before I get to this question, Nick, what were you going to ask me?
Oh, I was just gonna to piggyback off of what you were talking about, because some people like me, for example, right? I'm a small time guy in my garage. I have a few machines. I specialize in this. I don't have the bandwidth to add a whole other side of the business, right? I can't add screen printing and I can't add UV printing and all these things because it's just me at this time, right? But one thing for anyone out there who's listening who might be interested, don't think of every business as someone that you're selling to. Think of
Yep.
other businesses that are also selling and partner together, offer each other contract work where it's like, hey,
Yep.
you tell people that now you offer laser engraving and all of your laser engraving business will come through me. I'll give you a set price and you will base your price off that. You'll make money for doing nothing. I'll make money. I'll sell my product. And we live in this symbiotic relationship. I work with a friend of mine who he has a full print shop and he does all that. He also offers my laser engraving services. So there's
I did
a
that.
lot of
I did that for a
avenues.
year. I
Definitely,
did that for
you
a year
gotta-
before I bought my first laser.
you gotta network. You gotta network. Like when I
Mhm.
first moved into the location that we're at right now, there's a screen printing shop down the road. There's a sign shop down the road. And the first thing I did when I moved into that area is I went to each and every one of them. I'm like, hey, I know we do some of the same things. I said, but here's some of the things that we do that you don't. If I can be of assistance, let me know. And if you can be of assistance to me, I'll let you know. And just network with the business because yes, this business is there's competition, but
Mhm.
just because people do the same things you do in your area does not mean that they're a threat to you.
Mhm.
Correct.
They may do laser engraving. but they don't have a machine that's 63 inches wide. They may only have a smaller 24 inch
1420.
or whatever it is. So they can't do those things. And then like Nick said, is you get with them and say, hey, if I can help you, let me know. And don't be afraid to do it. Like I've talked to people and they just completely blew me off because they're just arrogant assholes. But like they
In this
saw it as a
business?
competition. They're like, oh, what do you do? How much do you charge? What this? I mean, just give me the third degree. And so networking with them. Also, don't be afraid to give stuff away to schools, to realtors, things like that as samples or things. Because yeah, it might cost you $10 to give them something for free, but the potential return on investment is way more likely than not getting anything out of it. And even if, like every year at my daughter's school, I give water bottles or something like that to the students on their team. I put a business card in there, whatnot, and I've got tons of business from that stuff. And it costs me a little bit, but it's a write off too for your business because it's advertisement. You can write it off as advertisement. So there's so many things you can do with that, and then also kind of on like promoting your stuff and trying to network and whatnot is try to join your local chamber of commerce. You know, they have different levels you can get into. I mean, we're on trustee level, so we're like below the corporate executive stuff, but and just the people that you meet there, they may need your services, like a food truck or something. You meet someone that operates a food truck at a meeting, and you're like, hey, do you need some shirts? Do you need some hats? Do you need some graphics for your trailer, your truck, whatever, you know, and just get that word out there. I've got a lot of not direct business from people in the chamber necessarily. I have some, but not a lot. Most of it's been indirect where someone comes to them because a lot of marketing companies go to these, a lot of realtors go to these, developers, contractors go to these meetings to network because obviously they're trying to do things in the community. And you can meet so many different people. And, you know, I think at least where I'm at, I think entry level is like $500. It doesn't get you much, but you have access to these people. Like you get a list of all these people in these businesses, and they welcome you to contact them. Like they have their business information, their name, their number, all that stuff, and you're almost expected to get a hold of people. So
could you write those dues off?
Yes. Yeah, it's a business expense. Yep, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's, you know.
Like, and that's the thing too with a business. Probably 90% of what you want to get or do can be a business write-off. Going out to lunch with your employees and paying for lunch is a business write-off. Going out with a customer or a potential customer, meeting with them, buying them lunch, whatever, it's a business write-off.
Going out with your spouse.
Like we do the RotoBoss road trip every year. It's a business write-off. All the fuel, all the lodging, all the food, everything is paid. It's a business write-off. And of course, we don't charge for that. We don't charge people to go visit and help out and answer questions or whatever. It's just, I do it as a way of kind of giving back. But all that stuff is a write-off. And depending on how big your business is, that write-off can be quite substantial and help you tremendously. You know, people are like, oh, well, this company didn't pay taxes, or this person didn't pay taxes or doesn't pay taxes, because they're smart with their money. They're smart with what they do.
Yeah.
Because if, you know, like I said, and that's kind of why like JER Custom Designs was so vague, because literally anything I want to do within this profession or these multiple professions is a write-off. Like my trailer that I built for mobile engraving, a write-off. My truck, you know, anything I buy that is related to the business is a write-off. So don't be afraid to take advantage of that. Of course, get with an accountant. Make sure that
Yeah,
what you
good
do is
CPA
on the up and up. But what I've learned over the past 8 to 10 years of doing this is so much of your stuff can be written off. The giveaways, like when I give it to schools, like I said, is a write-off. Giving samples to companies or businesses is a write-off. So there's so many things you can do to help yourself, because I was in that originally where I didn't write anything off, and I was paying way too much in taxes. And then I kind of learned from my accountant and all that stuff that, hey, why are you not claiming this? Why are you not doing this? Why are you not doing that? So just be open and, I mean, be honest with yourself and what you're doing so you don't get in trouble. But networking and taking advantage of those, the write-offs for your business definitely help. Like going to Lightburn, LBX. That can be a complete write-off for your business, because again, you're promoting yourself, you're advertising. So of course, driving there is covered, lodging, gas, everything involved with that start to finish trip can be a write-off. But just make sure you can justify it if questioned. You know,
Yeah.
don't go to Disneyland. Well, and that's another
You
thing
could go to
too.
Disney. Yeah, you could.
I mean,
Take a squad to Disney, dude.
I went to Arizona. I went to Arizona to drop my daughter off, for college, and I conducted business along the way. I stopped at a few places. What are you looking at me like that for?
did you just use me for a tax write-off? Is that what you did?
You're a
Is
tax
that what you
deduction.
did?
No,
Wow. Wow. Well,
No.
I went to a guy's house and we talked about lasers, and we talked, so that was a business thing.
No.
I need you at 1099.
No, I mean, yes.
Yes.
No, I wasn't
No,
using
I'm just-
you, but
I'm just
I'm just saying, like, I made a trip out there. Nick happened to be out there, and I didn't know where he lived originally, and then I don't know where it even came up. But I found out he lived in Arizona. I'm like, hey, I'm going to be out there. Let me stop by. So that was kind of a bonus, really, for the trip, because I stopped and saw Josh Evans with Lone Star Adhesives, and I stopped and saw Alicia Pate on the way. And then, like I said, finding out that you lived in Arizona was a bonus, because you were only like 30, 45 minutes away from where I was going anyways. So no, you weren't particularly used as a write-off. But I'm just making the point.
other people.
If you make a trip somewhere, if you're conducting business at any point during that trip, is it legally a write-off? And I say legally, I'm not giving you legal advice, so don't say, "Oh, Jason said it's right." But according to my accountant, that is a legal business expense. So that whole trip was paid for. So I mean, it kind of feels bad to do that sometimes, because you feel like you're cheating, but realistically you're not, because
Cheating who?
yeah, right.
The IRS.
cheating?
Yeah,
Uncle
I think
Sam?
I'll sleep
Uncle
with you.
Sam.
Yeah.
You're
I'll
cheating.
sleep like a baby.
You're cheating to get your tax dollars back.
Yeah.
But
So
like I said, you need to be very intentional about what you're doing and make sure you're doing it the right way. But I'm just saying that because a lot of people have questions around tax season. How do I do this? What do I claim? How can I claim this? How can I do that? Get with a tax professional. Pay them a couple $100 or so.
Couple
and
$100.
Sit down with them and ask them. Say, hey, this is my business. What can I do legally to optimize my capital, or whatever it is that you're looking to do, and my taxes, as far as what can I legally write off, what can I do, how can I do it. Get that information, and then kind of work from there. Because like I'll get a hold of my accountant, and I'll be like, hey, I'm getting ready to do this. Is this legit? Can I write this off? Can I do this? Can I do that? And if they say yes, I'm doing it. because
Yep.
and that's how people. We're still paying taxes because everybody, no matter what business it is, pays taxes. Period. Like you pay
Correct.
taxes first, and then you got to fight to get it back. And for almost 5 years, I never paid a dime in taxes because I had more losses than I had gains, and they were legitimate, of course, but I had more losses than gains. But of course, if you do that for too long, they can pull your business license because
I
you
think it's
become
five. I
a
think
hobby.
it's 5 years.
It's
I think
five.
it's
It's
5
5 years. Yep.
Yeah.
After 5 years, if you don't show a profit, then they can pull your business license and downgrade you to a hobby business and refuse to give you a business license in the state you're in. At least in Florida, at least.
Mhm.
I'm sure it's very similar in other states as well. But again, check with that to make sure. But
And
but yeah, I don't know how we got off on that topic. But anyways.
on the
I
flip
don't know,
side of
check-
that too, just saying, if you year after year are showing that you never make money, you never have a profit, then you're going to have a really hard time the day that you need a loan. For example, if you go into the bank and you're like, hey, I want to buy a house, I make $500,000 a year through my business, and they're like, okay, let's see your returns, and they look through and they're like, no, you don't make any money.
Yep.
And so you don't qualify for anything. So
Well, that's when you're like,
Um,
I'll have a cashier's check for $500,000, please.
Well, no.
and
no,
then the
I'll
IRS
caveat
comes after
that.
you.
I'll caveat that because, like, for me, I mean, we have like 8 rotaries, right? So I have hundreds of thousands of dollars sitting on the shelf, and technically that's a loss. But I can prove that it's not a negative because I have assets. I have inventory.
Yeah,
I have
the inventory.
I have inventory that accounts for that loss. So if you go to JDS and you buy $10,000 worth of cups, but you only make $8,000 that year, then that 2,000 obviously is a negative on you. And if you continue to do that, to a certain extent, you can account for that as a loss, but not as a negative like hit on you as a business. But after that 5 years, that forgiveness kind of goes away. So you have to show profit, whether it's taking less deductions to show a profit, because I've had to do that before, and carry it over to the next year. Because I've gone negative so many times and just basically said, okay, well, we'll go positive 20, right? And then carry that additional negative to the following year. So you can carry over your negative and show a positive. And again, this is not tax advice, sorry. But
Yeah, dude,
you can-
you're
there's-
cheering, man.
Maybe we need to get an accountant on this phone call.
Yeah,
Right.
right. There's ways to go
That is-
about it.
That
Is
is
all we're
that
saying.
is a completely legal way to do it, because you can depreciate things at different rates.
Mhm.
So
Correct.
like say my truck, I bought the truck through the business, so it's 100% write off. I can split that up and take X amount of dollars up front and split it up over the next, I think it's 3 years or up to 5 years. And then that's where you kind of have that leverage to balance back and forth. You can say, okay, well, I'm not going to claim so much this year on the truck as a write-off, so I can show a positive. Because if I claim all that on the truck or whatever, I'm going to still show negative, which looks bad on you. And then that usually starts the whole ball rolling with the IRS and looking into you as, okay, why are you going back and forth, but yet you have all this money? Like, so you just,
Yeah.
you gotta be careful with it. Again, contact a real tax professional about this stuff. I'm just giving you my input from my experiences.
And take the time to learn it. Like, take the time to
That's cool,
understand.
Matt.
That looks really good, man.
Yeah, those things turn out pretty good. I've done a couple
Dude.
silicone. Maybe I just did the crappy stuff, but I can never get it to come out clean. It always has some sort of haze on it. I can
Yeah, so
never
check
get
me
rid of
out.
that
So-
haze.
I didn't have orange, so I bought these in a pinch because somebody ordered orange, and I just like didn't notice that I needed more. And I bought these. I bought these on Amazon. This is a Temu one. This one laser's like absolute dog-ish. See, I didn't even swear there.
Look at
See
you
that?
go.
Wild card, baby. But yeah, I mean, dude, the stock market's a beautiful thing for that too, man. You can write off losses for up to 3 years. So it's like if you lose 10 grand this year, you could be like, all right, I'm gonna write off 3, 3, and 3. You know, it's a beautiful thing. I mean, it's not a beautiful thing to lose money in the market, but like,
We
That's
just
kind of
we
a
need
nice
we just need to abolish the IRS. That's what we need to do.
Correct.
No more.
Yeah, flat
That'd be
tax
nice.
across the board.
And
I'm all for,
dude,
I'm
you
all
sound
get
for
like
rid
a
of
that.
communist.
get rid
You
of
sound
pennies.
like a communist.
Why do we
dude.
have pennies?
How about like no taxes, dude? How about no
Well,
taxes?
I'd rather have a flat tax than no tax because then tax is actually
Yeah. Who's
don't
gonna
get
come
any
fix your
personal
street
taxes.
or your street lights or your?
Dude,
Yeah.
I live in Rhode Island, man. We have bridges that are literally getting torn down and nobody to rebuild them. You know?
That is like on a compound in the middle of nowhere. So
I'm not, dude. Everyone thinks I am, but I'm really not, dude.
he's the only guy that I've ever seen to post footage of high-end laser equipment and his goats in the same day.
That's true.
And his ducks.
Facts. There's other laser people with goats and stuff.
I got chickens
You know,
and ducks, rabbits, dogs,
You got ducks,
cats.
bro? You got
Yeah.
ducks, bro?
Yeah,
What kind of ducks you got, dude?
Those are his
Peking,
cousins.
the edible kind.
Dude, I got edible ones. I got edible ducks, dude.
The only duck to have is the delicious kind.
Yeah. Well, I have call ducks too, which are pretty cool.
The
But
Peking kind.
Yeah,
the Peking kind, yeah.
less than a pinch Chinese restaurant will buy them. I've had that happen
Yeah,
before.
yeah.
I have a buddy that owns a Chinese restaurant. He bought from me before for
Sick.
his restaurant.
They just go to Springfield, Ohio, and just pick them up at the lake.
Yeah.
I know. So you know what? Somebody on Instagram sent me like the video. Have you guys heard about like the people eating cats? You know, they're like, yeah,
Yeah, in
people are eating
Ohio.
cats. Yeah, and
There's
this dude
several
sends me this.
instances of that.
Yeah, this dude sends me this video. I'm like, one, I don't want to see that, dude. Two, I really try to stay out of all the political stuff online, dude. But like, three, I was like, yo, man, I would eat cat depending on what region of the world I was in. Like,
I've been all over the world and I've eaten stuff I don't even
I'll eat
probably know
cat,
half
dog.
of what
I
I
don't
ate.
care, man. I'll eat it.
Like horse.
I was looking for horse meat like
I don't know,
a
there's
couple
so
months
many-
ago, dude.
I've eaten some weird
monkey.
stuff.
A monkey.
I'll stay clear of household pets.
Well, if
There's
it's
that fine line.
farm-raised cat, though,
Well-
if it's farm-raised cat, you know,
Farm raised cat is a term I've never heard before.
yeah, because we're in America, dude, and people think eating cat is weird. But like in other countries, they're like, yeah, this is cat. This is farm-raised cat. This is grass-finished cat, dude. You know,
I
like,
think we should also talk about the strange things that those other countries do.
on this
Yeah,
episode
let's
of
not
Laser
get into
Talk-
that.
Right?
on this episode of Laser Talk,
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Cats. Are
Well,
they
it says,
delicious?
It says crazy. It says crazy laser talk. So I guess
Yeah, that's-
oh, there you go.
as long as you use a
Like,
laser,
I've
to
never
cook 'em.
lasered a cat
Cut 'em.
before. I've never lasered a cat
Yeah.
before.
I saw
I don't
a
plan
picture of
on-
a billboard and it had like a cow, a chicken, pig, and like a few other farm animals, and then it was like a dog, a cat, and like what other else, house pet. And they were like on the billboard, it said, "Where is the line?" And the dude like took the photo and then he edited it and drew the line between like the pig and the cat. And he's like, "That's the line right there." Like, oh.
Yeah, my pets. Yeah, I'd kill for my pets.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Service dog, and God forbid anyone did anything to that animal.
there would be some dead Haitians if they came and ate my dog.
Dead Haitians, dude. Chill, Steve.
Yeah, just saying.
I was just saying any random guy comes along and tries to hurt my
Let's not-
animal.
Let's not go there.
Yeah, let's not
Why don't you
target.
chill out? Why don't you chill out for a sec?
He's been out of the woods for too long.
I just boxed.
Right.
Dude, you guys didn't even realize. You guys just let me put these things in these puffy
Oh, yeah.
envelopes instead of sending them in their actual boxes, dude.
Yeah, what about that? You brought up that pumpkin spice thing. I didn't get a good look at it. What is that all about?
Hold on, I got to take it out because I forgot to ship it in the box.
New
person's gonna think I tried
limited
to burn
edition
'em.
Stanley.
Yeah, it's like not stainless. See it? Well, it's got like a coating. See it? It's like bronze.
Huh.
Huh.
There,
Huh.
I can't.
That's
I
interesting.
actually found out the name of those coatings the other day, and I can't remember what it is now. But
It's
I
I,
know-
mean it's
I
not
noticed
PVD
JDS
coated.
I know JDS is. I noticed they come out with the rainbow and the chocolate or copper.
Yeah, I know they
or
got the
something like that.
copper. Yeah,
yeah,
the
I know
copper or the
coming out with-
gold.
They're coming out with the rainbow one too, or the whatever you call that color.
Yeah, that's been out for years.
they're right down the street from me. I
You
ordered
can get on
something the next
Temu
day.
and buy them.
I got one like 15 minutes from my shop,
It's
which
great.
makes it really nice. 'Cause I can
I'm
I
about
can
to
have it
do it.
ordered
What is
within
it?
an hour.
Just a JDS
Well,
location,
JDS
a warehouse
warehouse.
nearby.
Oh, that's nice, dude.
I'm about
Does
to
anybody
place an
have any
order
questions?
this week for a bunch
It-
of cutting boards.
We got some viewers out there still, and we'll probably be wrapping this up here in probably the next 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So if
We
you have any
lost them at the
questions about,
cats, dude.
yeah, if you have any questions, for those of you that are still hanging around, thanks for hanging around. But if you have any questions, put them in the comments, and we'll try to answer them the best we can. So, but yeah, no, I think it's been a pretty good chat.
Yeah.
I know Steve's here. He ain't said much, but I know he.
I absorb things in.
Yeah,
Look at that beard, though, dude. Look at that.
I know it's
Just look at
luscious, isn't it?
yeah.
It's all right. It's pretty good.
I mean,
it's pretty good. Dude.
He brought the chill vibe from his bedroom, you know?
He brought
My
the
feet are up, my head's up. I'm good.
He brought the
He-
chill
he-
vibes, bro.
He must have been the one they saw in the woods, thinking it was Bigfoot up in Georgia.
Oh dang, dude! Shots fired.
Possibly.
No, he. Steve's a pretty tall guy. Like he's not a small guy, and I don't mean like fat, but
Oh
Just-
no, I'll tell you right now. I'm a fat man. I am not afraid to say it.
well, you're tall too, or somewhat
Yeah,
tall.
I'm
I mean, I think you're about
6'2".
yeah, you're
but
about
Jason,
my height.
you're also deceptively tall. I did not think you were as tall as you were from your pictures. And then you show up at my door and I'm looking up and I'm like, damn, I'm like 6 foot. And I'm like, good Lord.
Yeah,
Crouching his head down underneath my doorway.
I wouldn't go that far. You do got a pretty badass shop though. I like your
So-
setup there.
Just a little
Hey.
information. I've had the LS 3655. I bought originally from Boss. What I think was it 2018. I am on the same tube I started with.
Sick,
Yeah, that-
bro.
Yep. I mean, you can have a laser. That's the thing. When people say, "How long does laser last?"
Well,
And
the tubes usually they say what 3 years, even shelf life.
It's
Well,
about hours.
The
It's
shelf
about
life, the
hours.
shelf life on a tube is 5 years,
Okay.
but I mean the shelf life. It's kind of like rubber, like tires. When they're manufactured, they have a shelf life of 5 years. That just means they can only sit around for 5 years. They got to pull them off the shelf. Now the time
Doesn't
after that,
necessarily mean they're
obviously,
bad.
huh?
I was just saying,
Yeah,
it doesn't
no.
necessarily mean
It
they're
doesn't
bad.
mean they're
but
bad.
it
That's
just-
like
yeah.
the tubes as well. The tube you can have a brand new laser, brand new tube, obviously everything, and you can run it and get 100 hours out of it and it crap, or you can get thousands of hours out of it and then it finally craps. You know, so it's one of those things. It's kind of the luck of the draw. And
Yep.
you know,
It's-
and people are like, oh well, I don't go above 50% because I want to save my tube life. Well, that's not gonna save the tube life necessarily.
Yeah.
Yes, running at higher powers constantly does degrade the tube quicker, but you're gonna spend, let's say, $5,000 to $20,000 on a machine to do a job. A $800 to $1,500 tube should not be of a concern. I mean, it's
Yeah, I
a
mean, an
con-
OMTech
it-
tube is like less than
It's a-
$300.
it's a consumable item, and that's part of your business
Yeah.
too. You have to factor that into your pricing, so
Mhm.
that way you have that money set aside. Hopefully, if you don't spend it,
Yeah,
and
it's
that way you can cover those costs, and it's not coming out of your pocket directly. It's shared throughout the use of the machine and everybody that's bought something from you for using it. So that's another thing you need to take into consideration when you're doing those things is
Mhm.
count that stuff as part of your stuff. But my point is, like, why would you limit your business or what your machine can do just on the off chance that it might not last as long when there's no definitive line that says, okay, after this point the tube is done. Like I said, it could last
Yeah.
100 hours or it could last 10,000 hours.
yeah.
You know,
I'm shocked I've gotten this far with it because there when I first starting the shows like up in Tennessee, I do car shows mainly, and I do Tennessee. I've done Arkansas. I do a couple in Georgia, and that first couple I was burned straight.
Lost
There
them.
were I was burning
Lost
2
ya.
weeks straight. Oh, I'm here.
keep popping in and out.
Yeah, I don't know. That may be my connection, but for like
Y'all
2
say
weeks
I'm in the
straight,
middle of
this
nowhere,
machine
dude.
never got turned off. I mean,
Yeah.
I would just burn. I would set it at 1 o'clock in the morning. I know it would take 6 hours to etch everything because I would put full sheets in there. So I'd come in, take a nap for 5 hours, get up and go back out and watch it cut, then flip it and put the new piece in there and hit start again.
Yep.
And it did that for 2 weeks straight. And I'm just like, man, I know this tube's going to go. And 4 years later, I still have it.
Oh yeah. I mean, I've got my Nova 24 from Thunder. I've had about 5 years now, and I still got the same tube. I've moved it 4 times. I mean, it's held up. Nothing's wrong. It works just fine. I mean, I don't know how many hours I got on it, but nonetheless, I mean, I've used it fairly regularly because that was my first machine besides the Boss that I had, and mainly used it for smaller items, tumblers, things like that. But that's just like I said, that don't limit yourself just because of the tube, because they're easily replaceable, and a lot of times they're fairly inexpensive, especially nowadays since RF tubes are getting bigger. The glass tubes have come down in price. So I mean, it's not the end of the world. Yes, it can be frustrating, but above all else, I've seen so many people do this, and they're like, "Oh, I bought a spare tube with my laser." Like, don't do that. Like, because if you buy it and that tube that you got with the laser lasts you 4 or 5 years, that's 4 or 5 years of degradation to that tube just sitting there, and potentially getting damaged from being moved or worked around or whatever the case may be. You're not saving yourself anything by doing that. Now, if you start to see degradation, like you're using a laser and the power's not what it was, or things like that, and you can notice the flame pattern through the tube changes colors. Those are indications that your tube is going bad. That would probably be a good time to then buy a tube to have on backup, because that tube that you have is on its way out the door, pretty much. And so it's just it's personal preference, but I would highly recommend that you don't do that.
Well, and with Amazon nowadays too, I mean, you can have a new tube like for
Oh,
most
yeah.
machines, dude, in like
and all
in
the
3
and all the
days.
major big brands sell on Amazon.
Yeah.
And
A
a lot of the parts are all interchangeable. Like, it's the
Yep.
same thing. It doesn't matter the manufacturer who makes them. Most of the
usually
time.
the only thing that varies on manufacturers
diameter.
is the motors. Like,
Yeah.
your drivers
Yeah.
are all pretty much the same. Your controllers, all of them are Ruida or Rixon or Riken if you're OM Tech. I don't know why they do that, but they have 3 different controllers for different machines. But anyways, so they're all made by Ruida though, every single one of them. So they're all the same. The drivers are all the same. Circuit breakers, fuses, all that stuff are the same in the machine. Power supplies, dirt cheap. The only thing that's usually specific to the maker or the brand is the type of motors that they use a lot of times. Some of them use better motors. Some of them use cheaper motors. But those are really the only thing, and you can still get those off Amazon fairly cheap too. So I mean, that's the good thing about all the lasers that run off of Ruida, Lightburn, EasyCAD, all that stuff is I wouldn't call it open source, but it's very
It's
easy
pretty
to
close
get.
too.
It's pretty close to it because everybody uses the same stuff. So it's really easy to replace them. It's cheap. And then all you really
And
got to do is figure out how to do it. And a lot of companies nowadays have instructions on how to do that, or have somebody within their groups or organization that can help you do that.
mhm. And like understanding your laser, making sure that you just know how things kind of operate, allow you to be a lot more versatile with it. For example, like I was looking at the Index X the other day. It's a $2,000 piece of equipment, and it honestly it just uses the same settings that a rotary does. So
Yeah.
it's very easy. You could make your own version. It's just a handful of parts that are no different than any other parts. So when you get a good understanding of these machines and you're able to work with them better, you'll pick up a whole lot of new things in a very short period of time that you'll be able to modify and do.
Yep. Test, do all test on everything. Learn your
I am
machine. Like
constantly retesting.
I used to tell
Mhm.
people when they get their machine, take every mirror and put it out of focus. Like just mess the whole laser up and go back through and
Mhm.
learn how to realign everything. And
That's
like
actually really good advice.
the first question I get is, why would I do that? I'm like, would you rather do it now?
Yeah.
Or when something
In the
goes
middle of a
wrong
job.
and you have a
Yeah.
job to do and then learn how to do it? I said,
mean,
which
I got a
way?
great example of that. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Last year around Christmas, just after Christmas, the only Galvo laser that I had took a crap on me, and I didn't know why. And I went through months of troubleshooting. And you can ask Matt. I bugged him about it. I asked dozens of other people about it, and no one knew. No one had any idea of what to do. And because these machines, there was just no information out there for. So I ended up learning everything about it myself.
Yeah.
And you should, I mean, I have videos of me taking apart that entire machine and going down to the bare wire. And I encourage anyone, take the time, open their machine up and take a look at it to understand how it works.
Yep.
And also replace some parts because they're not going to give you the best parts. Like your beam combiner lens, get rid of the one that they gave you from China and go buy one from American Photonics, because good Lord.
I know Steve can attest to this, because like I said, we've known each other for I don't know how many years at this point, but
6.
yeah, about that.
Dude, and you don't have a roto boss, dude. You're not even supporting your friend's business, dude.
Wow.
Trust me,
Wow,
I do want one, and I don't talk to anybody but his roto. Anybody asks, it's always go to Rotoboss. I go talk to him. He's the guy.
He's been there since I started this. I mean, I think the first time I met him was at Eon back in the day, and I brought my rotaries and he saw them and used them and whatnot. But anyways, what I was getting at is back then there were no Facebook groups, YouTube channels, nothing like that on how to learn lasers. Like we had Russ Sadler, which was RD Learning Labs, which is a great thing to look at if you haven't already. He goes into the weeds about everything. We had like him, and there was a couple other people that did stuff, but we had to learn trial and error. Like we didn't have people to fall back on and ask questions and for settings and for different things like that. So nowadays it's a lot better. There's tons of groups. In some ways that's bad. A lot of ways that's good.
Gil, join Tumblr Engraving for Dummies.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're about to hop off here. So.
The 40-ounce Stanleys, yeah, we talked about this a little bit earlier in the conversation about how to set them up and do them. And I think we kind of referenced more the Galvo, but the gantries, and we touched on the gantry too. But I don't remember where that was in the conversation. Probably about
Get your
an hour ago.
steps per rotation in first before you do anything with them.
Yeah. But yeah, if you have any other
Yeah.
questions, hit us up. You got laser engraving for dummies. There's tons. You got my pages, Rotoboss Road Attachments, Laser Lounge. I mean, there's so many places out there that have a lot of good people in them that can help with that. And like I said, feel free to reach out to us, and we can kind of maybe lead you in the right direction or help you kind of understand that better. But yeah, we're at an hour and 35 minutes, so we're gonna go ahead and wrap this up. We'll do some final thoughts, and then we're gonna head out of here. So I want to first off thank everybody for watching. We still got 8 people watching. I think we had, I don't know, 30 or 40 at one point, but so thanks for everybody that come out and watched. Hopefully it was helpful, informative. Might do some more of these, just kind of off topic, just BS sessions and general kind of conversations. But I'll let everybody else kind of plug their pages and everything, and then I'll do a final thing, and then we're gonna head out of here. So start with Nick. How about you? You want to go ahead and plug your?
Yeah, for sure. So feel free to follow me at the Laser Nerd, both on YouTube and on TikTok. I give out all the instructions, all the tutorials, and all kinds of ideas for things for you to do with your laser. Just because we want to make sure that you are supported and you have some access to information out there, because sometimes you get online and either you're unable to access it because there's nothing out there, or someone wants to make you pay for it. So we're giving all that out for free. Follow me, hit me up with the messages if you have any questions. Always happy to help you all out.
Awesome. Thank you. Matt, how about you?
Before we leave, what is that chair behind you, dude?
It's a full body massage chair.
Yeah.
Sick, dude.
I would live in that.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's
I can't believe you
nice.
didn't do this whole session in that chair, dude.
I would have.
I thought about it.
I'd have been in
That's
there.
so classy, dude. That's so classy, man. Yeah, so I'm 2A. I just transitioned everything because 2024. I'm trying to be progressive. So it's 2A 3D laser everywhere except for YouTube. YouTube, I'm still 2A 3D. 2A 3D print or 2A 3D laser. You'll have to take a crack at that. I'm not sure. Yeah, or you can find me lurking in Tumblr engraving for dummies, or on TikTok or whatever else. I'm always answering questions. I try to go live at least like once a day. I haven't been lately, but I do try and go live at least once a day. So, yep, that's
awesome.
me.
Yeah. How about you, Steve? What you got going on?
Bluegrass Laser on TikTok and Facebook. It's Laser with a Z. I got to be a little different. Or if anybody needs any help, just reach out to me personally. Steve Moparian. I know it's not my last name, but it's kind of cool.
I feel lied to, dude. I thought that was your last name, dude, up until this stream, dude. I feel lied to.
No, he's just a huge he's a huge Mopar nerd. So
huge Mopar fan, yes.
Nerd.
And I'm an asshole now and then on Facebook, so I try to keep my name private.
Yeah.
Well.
Awesome. Well, thanks guys for coming out. I'm Jason again with the Rotoboss Road Attachments, and we actually just started up a new laser air filtration system business, the Apple Air USA. It's actually, we're the U.S. distributors for the company that's based in Australia. And you can find us at appleairusa.com or rotaryattachments.com for any of our Rotoboss Road Attachments. So thanks again for joining us for this live impromptu kind of thrown together chat. Thanks everybody. Thanks all you guys for hanging out and doing this with me.
We got to bring Chris in next time.
Oh yeah, hopefully we can get some more people in and do it a little bit more frequently. We have a Turn and Burn podcast. We haven't been very active on it because trying to get everybody together, me and Chris and everything, it just hasn't worked lately. But you can check that out on YouTube as well. And yeah, so we're here to help. If you guys need anything, just let us know. Hit us up on our pages. We all pretty much meander around the same Facebook groups and pages, so likely you'll find us on one of those. So again, thanks again. Have a good night, and we'll see you next time.
All right.